to know these guys better. It is Elijah Wood and Sala at Popcon. A local con. It's put on by local fans, and for like little people like us to be like, wait a second, Elijah Wood is out there for seriously, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us to Indianapolis. I've never been here. It's my first time.
Oh really?
My first time too, so thank you for having us.
And I don't know why, but I always go right for the shoes, like fabulous shoes, right guys? How can you, right? I mean, no offense, but you won the shoe battle.
What are those things though?
Oh, like that?
Those are fancy.
I don't know if that's good for the camera or not, but, you know, there's only a few places you can wear fancy shoes like this. Right? Yes, right? Thank you. I'm going to let Katie start off with questions.
That makes me nervous.
She's my friend. She keeps me on the track. So. Excuse us. Sorry, we're very excited.
I mean, mine's super easy. Very low ball, easy. You've probably heard. Did you know Lord of the Rings is coming back to theaters?
It is.
Let's talk about it. I don't think so.
It doesn't sound like it.
And Sala's like, I'm here.
Mine works fine.
Yeah, June 8th, 9th, and 10th, is that right? Yeah.
It's a 4K.
4K extended. All of these selling out. So I got a friend thread that was like, holy shit, they're re-releasing the movie and they're all pumped to get tickets. And so some friends of mine were trying to get tickets and the shows are selling out.
Yeah.
Like, dang, get on that.
But you're saying that like you're surprised. Come on, man. Of course we're going to come back for that.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
But I'm sure, you know, if you go back to your time and, I mean, you invested so many years in this, right? And to think that, you know, we're all like, yeah, put it back in the theaters. We're all going to go just like it's the first time. Has to be pretty cool and a testament to what you guys did.
It is. It's kind of incredible. It's wild to be, you know, we're this year, 25 years since we went to New Zealand. August of 1998, so, you know, it's wild to be 25 years down the road and for the movies to have, you know, sort of, they're in pop culture canon now in a way that we could never have anticipated. And it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary to be a part of something that has that kind of legacy and this sort of fan base that will endure long beyond, you know, our time.
And, you know, talking about that 25 years, Sala, is it cool when I've seen some little ones coming up to your booth, right? Like there's a whole new generation that just keeps going.
It's really cool, cool to see. There's a kid that came in with the Sauron helmet. Yeah, he did the photo op with you, the whole costume on. And it's just really cool because they fabricate them themselves. They're making these 3D printings and like painting it and going through all the work and it looked like the actual suit that I had on. So it's really cool to keep seeing people like watching films and keep watching it and the new releasing of it. Just, you know, making their own costumes like it. It's a normal thing for cons, but it's like really cool to keep seeing new costumes and different variations of costumes. And so I love it. It's just like the new generation is really digging it more of like a pop culture thing. So it keeps coming back. And it's such a big production. And what I love about it is, I think what everyone loves about it is the journeys of all the characters that we go through. You know, we're all like similar things going through hard times in life, but you just, you know, having friends with you to kind of keep you guiding the right place and, you know, going through it together, which I think helps like everyone kind of feel their own journey in the films. And so we can all kind of, you know, relate to that. So I love it.
working together. You got to see Andy while he was here. How cool is it for you guys that we all want to come out and still see you and ask the questions and be a part of it, but you continue to get to see each other and sort of have this family, this connection that you built on the set.
That's one of my favorite parts of getting to do these conventions is oftentimes it is a reunion for us. We get to see each other. I mean, I haven't seen Sala in, God, it's been maybe a decade?
Yeah.
I think we're already been. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it affords us the opportunity to hang out and reconnect. And, we are a big extended family, and it's that kind of thing where so much time can pass, and when you see each other, it's as if no time has passed at all. That you go through, you spend that kind of time with people over, at that kind of intensive time over 4 years. You're linked for life, and it's such a beautiful thing.
It was cute yesterday when Andy was talking about the same thing, and he's like, Elijah has kids.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not a marker for time, shit. It's amazing.
We want to get to your questions. Honestly, you guys have been here all weekend. Your questions have been amazing. You've made our job so much easier, so thank you. We got Jules here is going to roll around as much as she can. So please put your hands in the air. Let's start getting you the opportunity to talk with Elijah and Sala. We're going to start right here.
Real quick, I was actually saying last night to Andy that I'm pretty sure I am maybe a year to 2 years older than what Vigo was when he started on Rings.
No.
How fucked up is that? I'm 43. I'm pretty sure he was just 41. Early 40s. What the hell? Anyway, sorry.
Do your kids like Lord of the Rings?
They haven't seen it.
What?
No, they haven't seen it. But my son's 4.
You didn't.
Why is he reading the books yet?
Oh, Jesus, no. I did just read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe myself. Yeah, it's great.
You like plan the nursery as the Shire.
Although there is some awareness, I think I had taken some toys home from a convention or something and pointed out Frodo, so they were aware of Frodo, and then somehow a connection was made that I am Frodo, so I think my son was like, are you Frodo? Are you? So he's aware, but it's still abstract, because he doesn't know what it means,
Right, yeah.
I am Frodo.
Frodo is daddy.
Why aren't you calling me Frodo?
Although my son did just watch Over the Garden Wall for the first time. And so now, and watch the whole thing, understanding that is me, too, which is kind of wild.
That's very good.
Yeah, anyway.
Go ahead.
Yes, you are Frodo. Oh, good afternoon. Easy one for you. Any props you got to keep on set, or anyone you wanted to keep?
Did you keep anything?
No, not that I want to say in front of everybody.
Did you steal it?
Are you not
No.
supposed to have
If you could have stolen anything from the set, what would you have taken?
Nothing.
I've got a few things.
Well, your photo.
I've got a ring. I've got the ring. It's gifted to me. A pair of feet that I actually just recently found. They've done pretty well. It was a pair of worn feet, so they actually just gave me a pair that I'd worn from the film. I have the last clapper to the last scene, last take that I was in during the pickups. And it has the date on it, and I actually recently found that as well. I have a map from back end, and I have Sting. Yeah.
And Sala has nothing.
I have nothing.
Nothing.
He's got
Nothing. Not a helmet, not a sword, nothing.
Hi.
Was there anything on set for either one of you that you realized, like, oh shit, like this has really come together and this is like, whoa. Like, when did it click in that you were on the set and like it was coming together?
It's a great question. I know what you mean. I would say a particularly magical moment, which isn't, there certainly was a moment prior to this that I think everything coalesced into a realization of the scale and scope and majesty of what it is that we were embarking on. And there were a lot of examples of that, even prior to production, honestly. As you're sort of prepping, you just realize that this thing is massive, and the level of detail and the artistry that's going into even, making the chainmail, for instance. So those impressions were kind of being made as we were about to go into production. But I would say that the moment that was kind of the most flooring for me was we came back after Christmas break, and the first bit that we shot was in Mathom-House at Hobbiton. And going to Hobbiton, like cresting that farmer's hill into Hobbiton and seeing that for the first time, it was real. There was nothing, there's no scaffolding, there was no set to break your perspective from it being a real living place. And that was just extraordinary. It wasn't a set, it was a real place that we were inhabiting. So that I'll never forget that. And it was around my birthday too, so I turned 19 in Hobbiton, which was pretty cool. 19.
And I think back then that actually started growing that the year before.
Yes.
I think they were putting the Hobbit house into the ground, and so it looked like it actually had been there for years, which they had pre-planned that.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
Hi guys. So I know y'all did a lot of great camaraderie behind the scenes and going to do like surfing lessons on your days off and such there. Was there any other particular moments that kind of stick out to you guys on your days off down in New Zealand that you kind of show as big cool moments that was once in a lifetime experience?
I mean, there's a lot of them. A lot of my favorite memories are kind of the in-between mundane memories. Just like getting brunch at the chocolate fish on a Sunday, or going to Fidel's. A lot of our adventures revolve around food.
Always.
Yeah, Fidel's, man.
Yeah.
And
Coffee.
I miss Eva Dixon's. It's no longer there. But they had some of the best eggs Benedict in all of Wellington. Did not know this prior to going to New Zealand, but eggs Benedict is a fucking thing in New Zealand. Oh yeah, it's every place has brunch and eggs Benedict factors in. It's wild. Yeah, they really love it and they do it well. But yeah, I mean, there isn't one particular memory that stands out. Our time off was filled with as much adventure as the making of the films. Road trips,
We drove to Mexico to see Billy.
We did, yeah.
Yeah,
I drove us down in the Mini Cooper.
In the Mini
You can
Cooper.
imagine this guy in a Mini Cooper.
Me and him drove from LA to San Diego
Yeah, we did.
to go see Billy on Master and Commander.
That's right. Billy was shooting Master and Commander down just on the other side of Baja California.
Yeah, and we go down there a lot to surf and hang out.
Yeah.
the cast.
That was
So,
a fun time.
Yeah, it was a really good time. But we also were like on filming the whole production, like all three films were 19 months full time, non-stop. But we were basically a traveling circus. So every couple of months, 400 people were traveling to another town, and we would everyone would go there, and everyone would go to the same food spot and the same bar or whatever it was. We were just always this traveling circus. And that's why it became such a big family, because we all were just in the trenches together, and Helm's Deep, and all sorts of, these.
Were you at all of Helm's Deep?
Yes.
Dude.
It was 3.5 months of night shoots.
Can you even imagine that? Literally living as a vampire for 3 months.
Everyone had to like take their windows blackout, because we would.
You'd sleep during the day. Yeah.
We would get home at like 8 in the morning, and we would do, we'd go in at night about 4 for rehearsals, snap rehearsals, and then get into the battle. Once it went dark, we would start shooting some of the scenes with the pipes and the urkai blowing that wall. You know, so we were constantly traveling everywhere together just to, you know, make this monstrosity of it.
I mean, think of the scale of that too, right? Like, there's a whole group of people that never experienced townspeak, that were never on set. And that was a whole unit that filmed this entire massive sequence from the film. And yeah, it's just wild.
I mean, we had 9 units shooting at once sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Pete would have these monitors, like 8 monitors, watching all the different, you know, sets and how it's going down. And I think the dailies were like hours.
They ended up becoming hours towards the end, yeah.
Yeah.
We started getting them ported to DVDs and watching them at home.
Yeah.
Because it used to be that they would watch, in the early days of filming on Rings, they would screen all of the dailies in a theater, if we were in Wellington. Otherwise, they would be shown at like hotel conference rooms and shit.
Yeah.
But they got so long because there were so many units that it was too exhausting to watch after work, so they ended up having him ported to DVDs and he'd watch them in bed.
Yeah.
It's like, it's unbelievable. Yeah, there's a t-shirt. Do you have the I Survived Thomas
Yeah.
Speed t-shirt? It's amazing. So cool. So cool. Next question's up.
Hey guys, how you doing? First of all, thank you so much for coming out, spending your weekend with us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I have so many questions, but I'm not wasting time. Big question though. You guys are on set all day, you know, hours upon hours. On set and off set, who did you spend the most time with? Like, who did you click with so well with such a huge cast?
The 4 Hobbits spent a lot of time together. Just because of I mean, in part due to the being linked storytelling-wise, right? And the top of the journey being really filled with a lot of our stuff together. We're also relatively around the same age. So it just, I don't know, we were kind of linked very, very early on. I mean, all of us hung out a lot as well, but I would say that the 4 Hobbits were always, especially Dom, Billy, and myself. Sean had his family, so the sort of demands on him were different. He was young like us as well, but his daughter was there, and you know, wasn't quite doing the things that we were doing on weekends, going out quite as much. Just going to bars. Just going to bars and surfing and stuff.
Hello, my question's for you, Elijah. What was it like to host Saturday Night Live? And I'm
Oh.
very excited to confirm that your eyes are blue like polarized Gatorade.
Polarized Gatorade. Thank you. Listen, it was a dream. As you can imagine, all of us have grown up watching that show, and you know, it's been through so many legendary eras with such extraordinary cast members. So to have that opportunity to host, I was thrilled, terrified as well, but thrilled. And it was incredible. I felt so welcomed. I felt like a part of the cast. I think the thing that kind of was really impressed upon me was how immersive it was. Like we started, you meet everybody on like the Monday. They start writing episodes or start writing sketches based on sort of a hangout, and then you're kind of rehearsing stuff or reading things by Wednesday. And so you're just kind of there every day, you know, and you're hanging out with the writers and the cast. And then there's some pre-tape stuff that we did. The Gollum thing was really funny. It was so fun to work with Chris Kattan and that. And it's kind of wild. It was like being, it was hyper intensive. Doing it, you do it twice, because there's a dress rehearsal that's about half an hour longer, and they cut half an hour out of the show when they go to actual air. So you do it full show, everything, bells and whistles twice. So the second time is like a little bit faster because it's a half an hour taken off. And then it's over, and then you go to a party, and you hang out with everybody, and then it's done. And on Sunday, I just remember feeling this feeling of like emptiness. So I was like, I had this incredible week, with these wonderful people and had the best time, and again, felt so welcomed and so a part of the team, right? Because a lot of what I love about what we get to do as actors is you're a part of something bigger than you. You're a part of a creative process with other people working together towards that thing. And that is very much what Saturday Night Live is, but they do that every week. There's a new thing every week. So to be a part of that and then like to be thrust out the other end and be like, but guys, was wild. It was a wild feeling. I would love to do it again. It was amazing. It's an incredible, insane experience because you're also from sketch to sketch. You're literally having people come up to you and like rip your clothes off and put new clothes on to shove you into another place to be ready to do that sketch. Like it is so fast and it's like this incredible dance of clockwork that's happening behind the scenes that you never get to see. It's just awesome. And they've been doing it for, since the 1970s. Like it's an amazing thing. Yeah, it's cool.
How was working with John on the set?
Reese Davies? He's great.
I've heard funny stories, so that's why.
Oh, okay.
Like, do you guys have any funny stories
Oh.
on the set with him?
I don't have any specific funny stories, no. But John's great. John is an incredible storyteller, a delightful human being to be around, so much energy. Yeah, he's delightful, wonderful. I felt bad for John, because John, poor guy, that Gimli makeup was really intense, and it fucked with his skin in a pretty massive way, and like, oh yeah, he'd have to take breaks between, he couldn't shoot consecutive days, because he would break out. It was really uncomfortable, so he'd do a day, right, and then his skin would kind of like take a beating, and then they'd have to wait a couple of days before he could come back in. So I always just felt really bad for him, because it was just a lot to endure, and he dealt with it beautifully, he never complained. Hi.
I have a question for you, actually. We had this kind of deep acting question, but now that you mentioned the four of you and the hobbits, I have a question. Have you played League of Legends lately?
League of Legends. No, the extent of my experience with League of Legends is downloading it, doing it, playing through a tutorial, and stopping. And I think the truth of the matter is, now that these guys kind of aren't harping on me as much because they don't have the podcast, so they're not doing like the weekly updates, I don't think I like the game. and it's, you know what? It's okay, guys. It's okay. I don't like it. It's not really my style of video games. I love video games. And when I dove into it, I wanted to play with them, of course, and finding something that we can all do together online would be rad. And so that my main kind of motivation for wanting to eventually get into it was that. It was just to play with them. But then I downloaded it, and it's just not my style. It doesn't do anything for me.
Like you had
There
a
it is.
little weight lifted off your shoulders.
I'm so sorry, guys, if I've disappointed any of you.
There's a bag.
Hello.
Hello.
Did you find it hard to further pursue your careers after Lord of the Rings because of like the role you were set in, because of what you did and how big of an impact it had? Like, were you able to pursue acting in other areas at all?
I'm still playing villains. Every single one of them. No, it's great because, that was my first movie, my first production, and yeah, it was like ridiculously crazy first film, and once I'd gotten, because I started doing stunts, and then kind of, because we had so many fights in the movie, we were always playing different characters, and so we ended up in a lot of fights with the guys, with all the different casts, but from the time I got Sauron, it was basically over. It was like, okay, they were like, you're gonna go to all these cons all over the world. I'm like, what is it? What is a con? Who's coming? What? I don't know what this is. They're like, you just wait. I don't know. And then just, you know, the whole thing unfolded at Comic-Con, and then, you know, I just, from that, no one can see me outside of Big Village. And so it's, you know, it was great, but, you know, it really did get me out there because I moved to Los Angeles from New Zealand to further my career, and it just flourished. And Mathom-House-Video. I met with him, and he was like, you need to go to Los Angeles because you're wasted here. I think you could do really well in Los Angeles. And I was like, what? An American man is telling me that I should go to America? And you know, I was the brown boy from New Zealand. It's like, what? What did you say? You're American, your accent's cool. You're telling me that I would do well in America? So I basically packed up everything and moved to Los Angeles. And just, you know, just walked around LA following people to audition. That's how I did it. I just, because I lived right on Hollywood behind the guitar center. And so I didn't know where to find auditions, so I would just walk out on Hollywood Boulevard and just stand there. Honest to God. I would go, there was a Samuel French bookstore that used to be there. They used to have production listings. And so they would, every Thursday they would have this productions on this street, so I would just walk over certain streets and just like, oh, there's an actor I'm gonna find, you know, just, and I would just bully my way into audition. They're like, Mr. And I'm like, oh, my name's right there. They're like, yeah, it's not on my list. And I'm like, it's fine because it's right there. They're like, yeah, but you're not on my list. And I'm like, well, I'm here now. Okay, come on in. And so I would, you know, I was basically,
You doing like full reads?
yeah. And it was crazy because I was, you know, the young actor, I was, okay, that's what happened. I had $60 and I had to make it last for 9 months. And so I went to a 99-cent store and spent $24 on ramen noodles and got 100 packets. And I bought a cabbage, which was 26 cents, and some flavors, seasonings, and I would have half a packet of ramen noodles with my backpack and 500 headshots and resumes, just walking around. Unbelievable. Like just bullying my way into auditions. And here's the crazy thing for you actors who want to do anything, is that I never got a job from any of it.
That was going to be my next question. What job did you get?
I never got a job from it. But here's the thing, it was the whole part of just being part of the journey. Like, I didn't know that later on, once I started working, I just nonstop, just, you know, I've done 260 movies and TV shows over the years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm a whore. And so that's kind of like just hustled my way through, and just, they taught me that you just keep learning, you keep going. It doesn't matter whether you get it or not, because you don't know that's part of the journey of the hustle. The never giving up, and the just trying to figure out a way. We even used to like sneak onto set. So there's a thing in stunts which is called hustling. And what you do is everyone finds out who's got a job somewhere. Oh, there's a movie shooting down the street. So we would all get our resumes and headshots and sneak onto set, jump like train tracks to get over to like walls, just to, you know, we would fight with security all the time. He's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, I'm trying to get a job, dude. He's like, you're the one who's stopping me from getting a job to cross this thing right here. I'm just trying to get my resume to the stunt coordinator. And you're stopping me. He's like, oh, my bad. I said, you're already on the other side of the line. I'm trying to get there. So we would just sneak onto set to hand resumes off, you know, just figure it out.
And not a single job from that.
Not a single.
Any contacts or relationships established because of that?
No.
You're kidding. So like, stunt coordinators, nothing.
Oh, for the hustling.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. No, I got hired a lot. That's why I work so much.
Right.
Because it's like, if you're not, because you know they don't know everyone out there, and if you're not your own personal, like, you know.
Yeah.
hype man, then no one's gonna do it for you. And so you just gotta figure out a way to get on set. However way, but it's so much easier now because you can, auditions online and, there's all these agencies where you can just sign up for extras casting and stuff like that, where it's like so much easier. Send videos and now you can make your own movies with your phone. Before everyone thought they had to have a DSLR to be a filmmaker. And so it's just so much easier now. But long story short, bad guys.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
What about you? Did you feel like it was harder afterwards because you were this iconic character that you were always going to be furrowed?
Sure. I mean, it's hard to, in a way, it's hard to typecast Frodo because it's very specific to Lord of the Rings. But no, I mean, I think it opened as many doors as it felt like I had hurdles to cross. I don't feel like Lord of the Rings was a hindrance. It definitely helped for sure. And for me, I think I just took the stance of just wanting to continue to work in as diverse a series of films going forward as possible, just for sheer interest creatively, but also just longevity, so that it wouldn't sort of just be one thing, but it could be a lot of things and keep me on my toes, but also, can sort of present me in different ways.
Well, can I ask Elijah a question real quick? Because I saw stories about your audition. Did most people know that you shot your own audition, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone know about that story?
No. We want to
Tell us.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, Elijah did that? That's cool. I was like, yeah, gangster.
Thanks, dude.
Not the same thing. You kind of, like, I want to be in the movie that it won Americans, but like.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where my agent called and said they're casting for Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's directing it. I asked, is he going to come through Los Angeles? Like, is there a way to meet him? And they're like, no, yes, but the important thing now is to go into the local casting office in LA. It's Victoria Burroughs in Los Angeles, who did all of the casting for the US, and go and be put on tape. So just a real standard way to audition. You go to a casting office, go into a room, they'll film you, you audition like anybody else in any kind of normal way. The thing about that was, I just thought, to be in a sort of stale white room, filmed with a video camera against a background, it's fine, and I can do my best, but I feel like I gotta do something different just to stand out a little bit and to sort of articulate how passionate I am about this film and this character. So I told my agent, I'm gonna make my own tape, and she was like, okay. All right, you gotta deliver, like you gotta do that, I was like, okay. She's like, go to a dialect coach, work on your accent, and then but you gotta do this, otherwise. I was like, yeah, I've got this, I think. And so I went to a bookstore, got a book on like illustrations of hobbits and sort of Tolkien characters. Went to Western Costume, which is this big kind of costume department in the Valley in LA. It's extraordinary and legendary. Went there and you can rent stuff from them. So I rented kind of like the almost like knee-high pants with breeches, and it was a sort of a hobbit outfit. And then a friend of mine, this guy George Wang, is a writer and a director, shot it, and then another friend of mine, this guy called Mike, was the actor opposite me for the scenes. There was a scene with Gandalf, and 2 scenes with Samwise. So each one sort of showcasing a different aspect of Frodo along the journey. The last being kind of where he's succumbing to the power of the ring. And so yeah, we shot one scene in my house at the time, which was standing in for Bag End, and then 2 scenes in Griffith Park. And my friend George then took the footage. We shot it like a scene, so each, multiple angles, so it could be cut together, and just try and do something interesting. And And so then he actually went and cut it together at the Miramax offices that night and then gave me the VHS the next day. And then I drove that VHS tape to Victoria Burrows' office and dropped it off. And prior to that, I'd read the script too. They would not send the script out. You had to go to her office, sit in a room, they'd shut the door, you read it there, you couldn't take it away because it was under lock and key. So yeah, that's how it happened. And then Peter, it was sent back. I think he was in London at the time. He watched it and I think it made an impression. And then honestly, my favorite part of the story and the most impactful to me was, so Peter did come back through Los Angeles and there were sort of these kind of callbacks, right? Where he was seeing people whom he had seen videos of to re-audition and meet them in person. And so I was one of them. I remember going to the office, and I spoke to someone that worked in Victoria's office who I'd not met, and I remember asking about the tape, something like, either I asked about the tape or the person made a compliment about the tape. And that really struck me. And I was like, did it, because I had done it and sent it without really watching it, I was just kind of like, it's gonna go out into the world, I believe, And to have someone articulate to me that what I intended to do with it was achieved was almost as great as getting the role in a way, because it was this special effort. I'd never done that before. I'd never kind of put myself out on a limb in that way, and to have it kind of land and be received in a way that sort of did all the things that I wanted it to do was just so beautiful. And then I got to meet Peter and Fran and audition for them, and that was amazing. I was a huge Heavenly Creatures fan, so getting to meet Fran was amazing.
Does that tape exist somewhere?
So I think I have it somewhere in storage, but I have not.
Watch
I know. I know. It'd be pretty amazing to see after all this time. Like,
It's a really
it's
cool
probably
story.
awful. It's gotta be awful. It's gotta be. It has to be embryonic in regards to whatever my approach was. But like the accent's probably all wrong. I don't know. There's something in there.
It
worked.
worked.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do, is what I'm saying.
Thank you so much for coming to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
My wife and I just recently had a 3-week honeymoon in New Zealand, so my question for you guys was, what was your favorite filming and non-filming locations on the North and South Island?
There's a lot of little towns that we would go to, and what's crazy is these little towns have no hotels. So we were kicking people out of their houses. Like, a town of like 400 people, and there's like 4 new 100 people coming in. It's like, oh, you gotta leave. So they were all paid, for the house to get rented, but we would just go to these tiny little towns like Twizel where we shot.
Remember, was there some Edward stuff there?
Yeah. So there's lots of really cool little towns that are like drive-through town that we went that were just really remote. Queenstown was really gorgeous. Like this huge lake that there was, I think it was the flood that happened there that rose the lake level up so much that half of the town was underwater.
Yeah.
Like the town that we were shopping and getting food from was literally underwater. So we actually took a few days off to help all the locals relocate all their belongings to new places out of town. So it was like, it was crazy because we were like, oh my gosh, people have nowhere to live. So we just, they were all elderly as well, so we were just having these people move their belongings, which was really cool. We got to see a lot of the country that I've never even seen before. So, I don't know if that answered the question.
There's, endless incredible locations. Oakland stands out. Mount Ruapehu.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a great hotel there that has since shut, actually. The Chateau shut. Yeah. It shut last year. There's this kind of, it's not like the Overlook, but it has that vibe in the sense that there's just this beautiful, massive old hotel on a hillside surrounded by nothing, like there's nothing around it. And it is like at least 100 years old, if not more. And just a really special place that we stayed when we were doing some stuff from Mount Doom scenes. But yeah, I mean, they're kind of countless places and associations too, with like the hotel or the bar that we would hang out in. And, you know, like Sala said, we were a traveling circus. We're just kind of occupying these different places and sort of coming into town. And, you know, where we're gonna play pool tonight. It was just, it's part of the joy of location filming is the kind of connectedness that you all feel to each other because everyone is away from home. And there's a lot of fun in that, you know, you're kind of all in this thing together.
Pretty cool.
Hi.
One of the most impactful quotes from the show for me was Sam's speech on how there's still good in the world and it's worth fighting for. And I was curious if there was a quote from the show that impacted your life to this day, something that has stuck with you.
I mean, that one it looms pretty large, to be honest, and remains as relevant as ever, honestly. I mean, for Frodo, I mean, the kind of I know what I must do, but I'm afraid to do it. The sort of grappling with the intensity of the fate that he has before him and the choice that he's made, and kind of starting to feel like it's all a little too much. What have I gotten myself into? And his sort of resolve to stick with it when he wants to give up. It's just I think all of us can relate to that feeling of adversity or something that feels bigger than us, and ultimately just finding some shred of courage in us to keep going and push beyond it. So yeah, I love that.
Anything impactful for you, Sala?
Just murdering everyone. Putting me in the army, worthy of myself.
This is gonna be our last question.
You had a lot of costumes in the show, and so Elijah, this is a question specifically for you. For your costume, do you wear wigs?
I mean, I did, yeah. Frodo.
Have you worn wigs?
I have, and I will again. I recently rewatched that interview. I hadn't seen it in a long, long time, and my wife had never seen it, so I showed it to her. And she was like, "What the fuck?" And what sort of shocked me was how adamant I was about not wearing wigs. And I'm like, dude, you have. Frodo wore a wig, and you definitely will again. Just funny. I was like, I was very resistant. God, that was funny. I really didn't know who it was, but I knew something was afoot halfway through. Like, there's something up about this. It was amazing.
Before we go, I did want to mention a project of yours because we have so many people here and so many different families represented. Can you talk a little bit about maybe Youthful and what you're hoping to do?
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yes, I don't know how many of you are familiar with, probably a lot of you are familiar with Mondo. They are a company that's existed for over a decade. Started in Austin, Texas, doing sort of bespoke movie posters initially, finding incredible artists to do new posters for largely classic old films, and then they kind of started making posters to go along with new films. It really kind of changed the paradigm in regards to how one approaches a movie poster with great art, and sort of returning it to the art form that it previously had existed as. And then they also started doing collectibles and soundtrack releases, applying that same sort of thing to soundtracks as well. So they're amazing, and I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. I've known those guys for a long time. And they got bought by Funko. Big, huge corporate company, but huge cash infusion. The idea being that, oh, this is going to be great for them because they will, level up and they'll have even more resources at their disposal. It's not quite how it went. Funko gutted the poster division, sort of, the heart and soul of the company. And then my two friends who were in the record part were sort of sticking around trying to figure out what to do, ultimately wanting to keep the band together and just re-platform under a different name so they could keep doing what they do. And when this all happened, a bunch of friends and people in the community were just trying to figure out a way to save them, because we couldn't imagine a world without Mondo the way that it is, and with those gentlemen kind of running it. And we found a way, and we re-platformed them, partly with my production company, Spectre Vision, as a company called Deepened now. So it is effectively like the core heart and soul of Mondo under a different name to continue doing the beautiful work that they do. So we launched in January. They've already released a bunch of posters and soundtracks, and from here it'll be merchandise and other things in the future. But a lot of the bread and butter will still be awesome posters and soundtracks.
This has been the coolest.
Thank